I'd like to welcome everybody. Have we got anybody here for the first time? I don't think we do today.
Third time.
Yeah, he's been here before because I had to ask him. Well, it's good to have everybody. Appreciate you coming out. Just real quickly, Al Stevens is not with us today. He's teaching a class, so I'm going to make this real quick. He says I talked too long, so y'all tell him this is the shortest introductory we've had. First off, just I want to cover safety. If you don't have safety glasses, we've got some here. If you're going to be up in the area up here, the forging area, please put on a pair. If you are up here and you don't have a pair, I'll say something to you. As I said before, please don't get ill with me about that, but I'd rather you have your sight when you go home. If you're not a member of the Alabama Forge Council, the group here is a member of a bigger group called the Alabama Forge Council, and if you've been here before, all of you know that. Check your membership, because to be an active, if we've got a hands-on anything going on, you have to be a paid member. That's because of insurance purposes and everything. So you're getting your Bituminous Bits on time now. If you look on your bits on the back at the address, there will be a date. And that date is when your membership is due. So I usually try to do mine at Batson's Blade Symposium. That way I know when the Blade Symposium my dues are due. Makes it easier for me. But keep up with that. That's something you need to keep up with. I get a report every now and then. So be aware that your due date, if you wonder when your membership is due, will be on the back of the bits. Iron in the hat. We're having an iron in the hat today. Looks like everybody's already on top of that, so if it's not your first time, you know about that. I got one thing I want to recognize one of our members. He's made a big impact for us. Robert, hold your hand up back there. Robert, we had, you see Travis's shop is getting cluttered with our stuff. And we was looking at buying a Connex. Well, Mr. Robert over there, he had connections, and he got us a Connex for free. Saved us about $2,000 that we were to spend. So we really appreciate Robert and his efforts in doing that for us. He doesn't want any applause or anything like that, but that was a big deal for us. We're going to give it to him anyway. That was a great contribution. Like I said, we had already agreed that we was going to buy one, and he stepped in and said, hey, I can get us one for free. We're going to get it moved in, I think, about Tuesday.
Excuse my ignorance.
Yeah.
What is it?
It's one of the big box trailers that people use for storage and everything. Okay. I think this is a 40 foot, so a lot of our stuff we're going to park it out back and get it out of Travis's way. We can bring our coal that Ashton has been keeping at his house, and we put it in there, and he doesn't have to haul it back and forth. So it's really going to be a big plus for us, and we really appreciate Robert for that. One other thing I want to say something about. Most of you know Vic DeMar. Been a member here for a good while. Haven't seen him for a while. He had a very serious stroke back some time ago. He's paralyzed on his right side. And Gary, would you just update us just a little bit of his situation?
Yeah, I talked to his wife last week. Vic he had the stroke, and he had to go to rehab for about 3 or 4 months. He had a stroke last November. Got to come home, and then not soon after coming home, he went into some serious heart problems and blood pressure problems. Had to go back in the hospital. Spent about 2 or 3 months in the hospital there trying to get that stabilized. He's back out of rehab. They thought he was going to come home last weekend. I don't have the update whether he got to it or not. He has trouble speaking, but he still asks about the Forge members and what else going on in the meetings all the time. So
Vic was one of the. He was always here, and he was one of those. Anytime we did something, he'd come up to me, whether I had anything to do. But he said, "Man, I appreciate you. I appreciate what y'all are doing. Y'all helping me out. I appreciate." Never failed. Every meeting, he'd come up and we appreciate the meeting, appreciating us having something here. He was one of those that was very appreciative of anything that was done, knowing there was an effort, not my effort, but the group effort that was put forward. That being said, his wife is his only caregiver. So some of us have talked, if it's okay, if it's agreeable with everybody, if there's any opposition to that, please say so. But we think we're going to have our iron in the hat, and any donations that are taken in today will go to a fund. They have set up a fund. As a matter of fact, they're having a supper for him. He doesn't know about it. It's a secret thing that they're doing over at the Baptist Church in Huntsville. And to raise money, his wife is his primary caregiver now. So if it's agreeable with everything, our iron and a hat monies today will go to that fund for Vic from the Athens Forge Group.
Yeah, when I talked to his wife, she said it's pretty much been determined that he'll never go back to
Yeah.
work.
If you wanna go, it's at 809 Jordan Lane.
Yeah. In
Baptist
Huntsville.
Church, I forgot the name of the Baptist church. Today at 4.
4 o'clock till something, but they're having a barbecue supper and everything's, there's no cost, it's just a donation thing. So if anybody's able to go, please keep Vic and his wife in mind. Well, that being said, that's about all I've got. Like I said, I was gonna try to keep it as short as I could today. Anybody know of anything? Ashton, you know of anything I need to cover? Just keep in mind our September, we have a fall conference coming up at Tanny Hill State Park. Please make plans to attend that. Travis is going to be one of our featured demonstrators. A guy from Louisiana will be one of the demonstrators. Travis shaking his head back there. We need a good heckling crowd. We're going to have a section set up, roped off for hecklers. So,
Be team captain.
I'm sorry.
Team captain.
Team captain, yeah. And then
Bring the banners.
we've got our 2 demonstrators right here doing a family project. They're doing the ring project down there. I think I'm correct on that. It's a class that they're doing. So if you want to get down there and you want to sign up for a class or sign up ahead of time, do that. Please, if you plan on going, register ahead of time. That really helps Judd with the paperwork and everything. He can have everything done before he gets there. So it creates a lot less confusion for him because it gets pretty hectic there. Nothing else. We're gonna.
I did come up with one thing. I'm gonna make it long. It'll be out there for a little bit, but around October we'll be looking for 2020 shirts designs. So if you have one, you can give it to me anytime you want, and I'll keep it till October. But in October, I want them all by October. That way we can get the shirts handed out
First of the year.
year.
Good deal. So keep it in mind. If anybody wants to work on a design for a shirt, be working on it, and we'll get it in by October. We can get them printed, and we usually vote on them, and we can get them printed and have them by the first of the year. Anything else? Again, good to have everybody here today. Appreciate you coming. Our demonstrator next month will be senior moment.
Oh, yeah.
Open Forge, I'm sorry. I went totally blank. But we're going to have Open Forge next meeting. The following meeting, Alan Kress from down in Coleman will be demonstrated for us. So try to be here for that. But remember the conference, remember to pre-register if you plan on going. That being said, today our demonstrator is going to be Mr. Steve. Most everybody here knows Steve. He's the infamous bits editor now. I think we need to give him a good hand on our bits. I think our bits has been a great job with them. Appreciate Steve and the efforts he's doing. Steve's been a member here. He's been for years. He's been Forge Master here. Back in fact, the first meeting I came to, he was Forge Master. That's when he was meeting up in the other shop up there. But appreciate Steve. Steve's demonstrated a lot. He's demonstrated down at the symposium in Coleman, at Tanny Hill, at our annual fall conference. I know he's done a lot over at the Constitution Village, demonstrating over there. But he's demonstrating for us here today. We always appreciate having Steve demonstrate for us. He's going to be doing this is a blacksmith group. He's going to be a whitesmith today, and I'm not saying that racial. I'm just saying. And I'll leave it at that and let him explain what he's doing as far as when the whitesmith part goes. Some of you may know, I didn't know for a long time what it meant when they said a whitesmith. But at that time, nothing else to say. I'm going to turn it over to Steve. Steve, appreciate you demoing for us today.
I guess I have to, when you use a coal fire, you don't usually like to have to get the forge started while people are watching, but I guess with gas it's supposed to be safe. talk over that, but we can talk about some other things while it's getting hot. The project today is I call this a brownie spatula. I kind of thought this was kind of a neat idea on my part. Number one, it fits in that forge. Number two, I got thinking back, and the last, I don't know how many times I've demonstrated over the years, everything I've demonstrated has had an edge or a forge weld or both in it. This doesn't have much of an edge. It doesn't have to be heat treated. I'm not going to forge weld, so for me this is the big leap on this one is whitesmithing part. I've gotten real excited about that. I understand that back in the day there were blacksmiths and there were whitesmiths. The blacksmith does the forging, the whitesmith files it so that it's bright and pretty. These days, you know, I just, like most of us, I just do the whole thing. I don't have a staff of people to do each phase of polishing on a blade, so I just kind of have to push the sandpaper back and forth myself. I kind of blame three things I blame this demonstration on. Number one, the whitesmithing kind of comes from Josh and Ernie. They got me interested in this idea of using the file a lot more. The other reason I've been using the file a lot more is that after Josh and Ernie got me interested in using this, my wife looked at some of the stuff I made and she said, "Oh, that's pretty. I like it when it's polished. Do more of that." So that's an excellent reason, guys, to go a certain direction with your craft. The third reason is necessity. Every once in a while, I don't know, this group, I don't know how many people have probably ever made brownies, but okay, good, I have to. when you make brownies, you cut them in these little 2-inch squares, and then you need to get them out of the pan. Okay, some people probably cut them in 6-inch squares, but and then you need to get them out of the pan, and you pull open your drawer and you look, and all of those spatulas you use for flipping pancakes are about that wide. So you got to think, wow, you know, it'd be really neat if we just had a small spatula work in there and get one brownie out. Now, you know, you really shouldn't have to do a whole lot of market research to figure this out. But up at my, we were up at my mother's house for Christmas and opened her kitchen drawer, and lo and behold, there was a little bitty thing that looked kind of like this, except it was just some little thing stamped out of stainless steel. Now, I can't have just some little thing stamped out of stainless steel, right? You know, why would I want to buy it for $2 when I can build one for $20? That kind of thing. So, this is the project. It starts out as one of these. Little piece, 1/4 by 1.5 inches by 6 1/4. And you might ask, put this over here and let it get hot. You might ask why I cut the piece off just that length instead of working off the end of a bar like we usually like to do, because if you work off the end of the bar, you don't have to use tongs as much. Well, the reason I did that is to make the point. When we just work off the end of the bar, we get to the end and we go, yay, look, we got that, we've got this much bar left. One of the things, when I was first getting started, there was a online forum called the Virtual Junkyard, I think it was. I don't know if it's even still around anymore. But there was a guy on there at the time that just really preached constant volume. Blacksmithing, forging is a constant volume process. So one of the things I think is really cool about forging is that we can build a project that is larger in at least 2, sometimes 3 dimensions than the bar we started with. So, for example, wood carving is a subtractive process. You have to start out with a piece that this will fit inside and then carve away everything that doesn't look like that. I can spread things out, I can stretch them, I can make them fatter, and I just think that's fascinating. You know, a machinist, I don't want to point at Ronnie, but a machinist could make one of these. He'd start out with a block of steel about so big and hog away everything. I can start with a little bitty piece of steel, and that's roughly the amount of steel that's going to wind up in the finished piece. This fork, I started out thinking about this and thought, well, there are some design elements in this that I really like. I really like this piece right down here. I kept that. I like this little spot. Is there a camera here that sees close? I really like this spot right down here where you spread it out a little bit. And I kept that. And I like this stem. But in a piece this short, I didn't have any room for the stem, so I just left that out. But those are pieces to pass around. Okay, getting about ready to start here. I need tongs, and I need a fairly good sized hammer. Drop this for a minute. So I start off with my piece 6 1/4 long, and I'm going to upset it. It's going to take a couple heats to do this. Don't need to heat quite so much of it. So, upsetting is this process where you're making the piece shorter and fatter. And I started out with a piece 1/4 by 1/2 by 6 1/4. When I'm done with this part, it's going to be about 3/8 thick, about 3/4 wide. It's only going to be 5 3/4 long, so that 1/2 inch of metal gets used up making the piece thicker. The reason I'm doing this is that if I start with that thicker piece, it's a lot easier to spread that end out and get it as wide as I want. Here are a couple pieces I started with. These were mistakes from when I got started the first couple tries. This one, everything just got too long. That one, everything got too long. This was the second try. Started out with that. I didn't do the upsetting, and as I start spreading everything out, I'm getting too thin here before I get it as wide as I want. So.
Show the big piece one more time.
Show which?
The bigger one.
Okay. All right.
Hey Steve, can you describe that tool that you just used? and
This?
tell us what you're doing with it?
This is this is a measuring tool. All the notches along here are different widths, so I can just slide it over a piece and see how wide or how thick it is. I have the numbers I decided to put on here is the width of the hole in 1/8 of an inch, about 1/16 of an inch. On this side, I just put ruler marks on there, and every little radius and hole on this piece has a known dimension that makes for fast measurements. I only singed a couple of tape measures before I finally wrote it down and did this. Gap tools, I guess that's what they're called. The name just came into my head finally. I just cut this one out of 16 gauge sheet. Some people, Travis, Ernie, have made really pretty ones that are nice chase designs in them. I highly recommend those, but if you make one, you might not want to use them. So these I can cut out. I think I cut out probably 4 or 5 pieces, taped them all together, and just cut and file them as a little stack. And that way, when I forget that I've got it in my back pocket and it bends, I just go get the next one. Notice I have to keep straightening it out as I go. See how we do. Got 3/4 and 3/4 and almost 3/8 and get around to this side about 5 3/4, so that's where we want to be. Quarter by inch and a half, or excuse me, quarter by 1/2. That's definitely not inch and a half. Mark where I want to be next. So about an inch back. Just hold it on the handle there. Give it a little smack. And you see, leaves me a little dent right there. That'll be my mark. It's easy to see when I'm hot. Sometimes I can even feel it. That's how I. Next thing I'm going to do is isolate the piece for that blade by doing a half on, half off right there on the edge of the anvil. Different pair of tongs. These. Box jaw there. It's a lot easier when forging to have jaws that fit your piece better. Okay, I'll be spreading out the blade of the spatula. Mark Asprey has what he calls the cow poop theory of blacksmithing. That's the idea that if you go out in the pasture, find yourself a nice fresh patty, if you just drop a ball right in the middle of that patty, stuff goes everywhere. If you were to, say, drop a ball bat in that patty, stuff only goes 2 directions. So, when I want to spread a piece, going to see I'm going to use the cross peen on the hammer. That way it's going to get wider more than it gets longer. Get this out, find my mark. That's where the top of the spatula goes. I got a little thinner than I wanted. Now we just start spreading. Good idea as you go along, pay attention, keep things straight. In this case, keep that symmetric. I can tell you that if you're not paying attention and you start to spread so that more of your material is going to one side and you go all the way and get down to where it's a really thin piece before you notice that, it's a lot more difficult to get things straight. I have a slash of wrought iron that's being saved for other things than this. Spreading a piece like this, I start hammering in the middle, spread the middle first, and then I'm going to work out towards the edges. Else can talk if you want. This is kind of the long part of the process, you know, where you have to wait for it to heat up. For me, this is called resting. For everybody else, this is called, when is he going to say something else?
Tell everybody on the internet about Bituminous Bits.
What about the Bituminous Bits?
Just tell them about it.
It's our newsletter for the Alabama Forge Council, and it comes out 6 times a year. May, June, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November, December. You'd think I would know those.
What's in the Bituminous Bits?
It's 32 pages. There's a certain amount of news about the AFC. There's pretty much any blacksmithing metal relating article that somebody will send me. There's a lot of how-to. I try to keep the pages up. I'd say probably half the pages are something educational about how to do this, or if there's an article in there about a conference news, I try to stay away from saying just you know, we saw, but hey, this demonstrator made this good point, this demonstrator made one of these, and this is how he worked with his power hammer to do something that I didn't know that we could do it that way.
So can people out of state click on the Alabama Forge Council link in the description and then email you guys and subscribe to the Bituminous Bits?
There's
even if they're not local?
Yeah. It comes with the membership, so $25 a year, and
I thought it was 35.
is it hot? Did it go up?
Somebody ripping me off $10.
I think it's 25.
It's 25 the last time I
I
paid
got
for
away.
it. And
Is there a lifetime? Is there a lifetime then?
I know there's not.
You gotta ask, you can't afford it.
Is there a certain steel that polishes better than for that to make it a white
Probably.
bit? Probably.
All the latest kitchen gadgets are stainless. So, but I think that has more to do with our desire to throw stuff in the dishwasher than it does to the quality of the tool. I find a lot of this kind of stuff that I make winds up getting given as gifts for one reason or another, Christmas, weddings, whatever. And I find that I generally don't do stainless, certainly not if I'm forging it. But when I give somebody one of my knives or a spatula or something, I find out I usually say, sometimes I even put a note in the package that says, this is our grandmother's kind of tool. Do not put it in the dishwasher. Do not throw it in the kitchen sink and leave it sit there wet for 3 days. You know, basic, the kind of stuff that my dad told me when I got my first pocket knife that was made out of carbon steel. Son, it's going to rust if you don't treat it right. Good thing to know when you're forging is the dimensions of all the stuff you're using. My hammer face is just a hair under it. This one is just a hair under 1.5 inches wide. I've got the other hammer that I use a lot is just over 1.5 inches wide. I think this handle is probably about 4 wide. Mine's 5, and on my own handle I know this distance and all these distances. That saves you a lot of measuring. Saves you a lot of time when the metal's hot. So it's the same principle in life. It's kind of good to know what that span is and how wide your thumb is. And, all these things that save you having to pull out a ruler every time you need to know how wide something is. So that's about as wide and about the shape I want. So I'm going to smooth it up a little bit. And then we're going to start working our way up the handle. Oh, thank you.
I don't know if it puts off the heat, but
It does. next thing to do is fuller in that little spot right there where the net comes back. And for that, I have this tool, skeleton tool. I made up several different shaped dies for this thing since, where's Ronnie? How many years ago did we build these things in a workshop here? Anyway, this 3 years ago we all got together and built a whole stack of these things. So this die shaped like that, which is going to give me a nice square back on that piece and start my taper on the other side. You have to kind of look at this and make sure you're putting it in the side you're going to work it. And I brought my great big hammer because Ron Nichols pointed out to us when he demonstrated here a few years ago, 2 years ago, a year ago, how using tools like this works a lot better if you hit them with a big heavy hammer instead of the one you use for forging. So you get your length about where you want it, smack it, and flip it over, smack it again, flip it over, smack it again. Start rounding it up a little bit. That's what we have. Working at home, I would have used that tool in a treadle hammer, so there would have been 60 pounds smacking it. This takes about the same number of licks because I'm just tapping, but I don't have to do this with my shoulder. Y'all know who Peter Ross is? Peter, okay. Been on, I see him mostly when he gets on the Woodwright shop with Roy Underhill. Peter would not have bothered with the guillotine tool. He would have been right here over the edge of his anvil using the edge of his hammer to do the guillotine function, and then he would have been up here swinging like this to do what I was just doing, tap, tap, tap. Because he's got a lot better hammer control than I do. I have to get down here close like this because I'm afraid I'm going to miss hit and ding up the piece out here that I don't want to touch. Next time Ronnie comes around scheduling demonstrators, I'm going to volunteer for one of the winter months. this operation, the metal is going, some of the metal is going this way, some of it spreads out this way. That's going to hang over the edges here, and eventually I'm going to be rolling this neck to make it a little bit round. If I don't keep those edges locked back in, they're going to fold over. I'm going to get a cold shut and a crack, and I'd have to file that out. I'm going to turn this piece around. Make it easier to get over. And switch to get another pair of tongs. Stuff heats up faster. It also cools off a lot faster than thicker pieces. Start working out here on the end, and pull out this piece that's going to get bent around right at the end to make the hooks to hang on. I would say that the way I did this one is I mean, it looks okay, but it's not the most artistic thing you can do out on the end of a handle. On a piece like this, out here on the end of the handle is your place to be an artist. And see, you can have little hearts like that. And there's tulips and circles and all kinds of little file work, Celtic knot kind of things. I use it, it's left-handed. Unless the pan of brownies are over here. One of the things that seems to come up every time I go to a class or watch a really good demonstrator has been that you need to look at this stuff while you're working on it. It's not that we have tools a certain shape and we hit it 3 times and you get the result you want. You're making it happen as you go along, and need to be looking at what's happening, and if things are getting twisted or crooked, or a lot of times, because I'm badly out of practice, a piece that's supposed to be square cross section starts turning into a diamond. It's easy to fix that if you notice right away, oh, that's what's happening, and get it back. But if you're not really paying attention and you just keep pounding, you wind up with you get to where it's time to start over. Drawing that piece out, when I was first back here and isolated that little piece, I had about a 1/2 inch of material where I started hammering. Now it's almost 2 inches long. This stuff flows. It's like pinching off a piece of clay. Does anybody here use I call it the clay method? Use a piece of modeling clay and push and squeeze and see what's going to. Some people really like that as a way to figure out what's going to happen when they're forging. I've never been able to get into it. I tend to go out and take a beat. If I really don't know what's going to happen, I go out and get a piece of metal and beat it up and pound on it. I like to take a little more meat out of the top there. Next thing I'm going to do is spread out up here at the top of the handle. I'm not real concerned about exactly how long the handle turns out, so I'll pretty much take what I get. I like to spread it this way because you think about using a tool. If I've stamped my 3-pound roast on the grill and I'd like to have some degree of control over it, if I have a little skinny handle like that, it's going to want to rotate in my hand, right? Give myself something to hold on to, I've got a lot more control over what's going on. You see this with the people on Forged in Fire all the time, make the round knife handles, and then the blade just spins in their hand when they use it. So you need to, tricky handles, you need to think about how it fits in somebody's hand and what they're going to do with it. Some tools, chisels, work okay with a round handle, although I tend to make mine a little bit wide and a little bit of an octagon. But most tools you need a way, without looking at it, to figure out where the working edge is. Wind up with in this shape is a taper that goes this way and then a taper that goes this way. You see what I mean there? I want the taper to be smooth and straight going this way, and I want it to be straight going this way, getting narrower, getting thinner and wider out at this end. Like I have width now. I'm going to get length on my way to just making it a little thinner all through this area. the taper I like, width, thickness. So I'm going to drop that. Okay. What we're going to do now is put this element in the handle. See that okay? Okay. This element is going to go right in here. This, the handle kind of continues down into that right part. Put it right in there. That's another of those half on, half off blows. Okay if somebody else talks. I don't mind.
During the downtime, I'll go ahead and tell you all that Athens Forge, we're one of 9 chapters in the Alabama Forge Council. Actually, I think it's 13 or 14 now. We're located in Athens, Alabama. We're part of a nonprofit organization promoting the knowledge and skills of blacksmiths. We're never going to monetize our videos. We don't want to do commercials. We're not going to be sponsored by anybody. However, if you would like to sign up for the Bituminous Bits, that is our how-to magazine. It has information and how-tos from all of the different meetings across the entire state. That's just the membership fee, and we will mail to out of state. And you can find that by following the link in the description to the Alabama Forge Council. Just drop us an email on the contact, and we will get all of that arranged for you and figure out, how to pay for out-of-state memberships and stuff like that. And if you guys have any questions, please feel free to drop it in chat. Like, share, subscribe, the whole 9 yards. And thanks for viewing with us.
first time I tried this, everybody told me you keep wiping off the surface of your anvil. It was when I started making knives and then doing this more of this white smithing stuff that got more important to me. So if you don't keep the anvil fairly clean, you pound some of that scale into the surface of your work, and that just becomes more little dinghies that you have to take out later. Since forging is a lot more fun than grinding or filing, I try to keep the grinding and filing to a minimum by being a little more careful with the forging. Make a nice spot on the anvil. That much bend. That bending things like this, bending the tines on a fork, bending the blade of a spatula up just a little bit, bending the tang of a knife down just a little bit. These are all things that I tend to really overdo. I wind up with a lot more bend than I need. It doesn't work as well. So I still have to think all the time when I'm doing this, okay, don't bend it too far, Steve, just try to get it right. Now, my handle is still a little bit straight. I like just a little bit of curve in there. The finished one, right here, there's just a little bit of curve there in that handle. When I was at the ABS bladesmithing school, I think it was Jimmy Kroll told me out there that Bill Moran had told him that a curve is better, the eye likes a curve better than a straight line, and just a real subtle curve is better than flat on the anvil and tap it a couple times. The loose end out here wants to come up, and that's just about right. But I'm hammering here and pulling up back here with the tongs just a little bit to get a little bit of a bend in there. And with that, except for iron brushing. We are done with the source of heat and noise. That comes at the very end. Because it has to come at the very end, because I want to file it and have it nice and clean on the inside, and it's a lot easier to do that while that piece of metal is straight than if I bend it first. Now, I've tried to be careful and forged clean, and I wire brushed, and this piece still has scale all over it. So this is the time for a chemistry class. Don't worry, it's not much. I like to pickle my piece. That's pickling is basically soak it in acid for a while. I use vinegar, regular old white vinegar, cider vinegar, whatever's cheap by the gallon at the store. And the great thing about pickling in vinegar is that if I get done at the end of the day, at the end of a forging day, and you know it's dark, it's late, I'm tired, and I want to go to bed, I can put my piece in. I can put my piece in the vinegar, and 24 hours later I'll be able to wire brush it off and the scale will be gone. Now, sometimes I'm probably the only person this ever happens to. I have a day at work, I come home the next day and there's some plumbing or, light bulbs need to be replaced, whatever. I get distracted and maybe I forget about what I put in the pickle. And maybe it's 2 or 3 days before I get back out there. With vinegar, that's okay. Just go out and take care of it. I've used muriatic acid and can't remember what the stuff is called now. The pool chemical that you
Chlorine.
not chlorine.
pH down.
pH down. I have used those things for pickle. They work great. They are really fast. If you forget about them for 24 hours, you can eat a hole all the way through a knife blade.
I use food grade citric acid.
Okay.
By the crystals, and the same thing. It's not going to hurt the skin. It's not going to do anything. It definitely takes the
Yeah.
rust and the scale out.
Now,
Mix it in water.
y'all may be thinking, wow, we were not really planning on a 24-hour meeting. This is why I told you it's good if you can. It's good if somebody else will talk a while, because I'm not going to keep this up for 24 hours. Now, I thought about using the magic garlic quench like Travis and John Wayne did last month, but then I decided maybe it would be easier if I just brought along a piece that had already been pickled, and I can just go ahead and file on this one. Besides, that one's got a weak spot right up at the end of the blade that we probably don't want to mess with that. So I want to use over here, and I think we can just move that. Does that work? Am I kind of pointed at vice jaws now? Should warn everyone. You know, you get started in something like blacksmithing, and it seems like, well, I just need a hammer and an anvil and a forge, and that doesn't seem like it should cost a lot. And then you find out about all the other stuff you need. Well, it happens all over again when you fall in with people like Josh Verney and start wanting to use files a lot. I mean, probably everybody has a few files in their shop. One of the reasons you practice a demonstration like this ahead of time is that you can then bring only the tools you're going to need. I have 2 drawers in my chest at home full of files, and I'm always happy to go to a conference and see somebody who, bought the leftover lot from Nicholson, or somebody selling more files, because I buy more files. One of the things I've learned about the file collection is those little 8-inch things that you can buy real easy at the big box store are not big enough, they're not coarse enough, they're never the right size or shape. So I kind of got to the point where I had to, for some sizes I needed. A lot of the sizes I need, I find at conferences being sold off of tailgates. Other sizes, there have been a few that I just had to bite the bullet and go to MSC or McMaster or somebody and buy what I needed. So, start cleaning the end here.
Also, the files you buy at Walmart or Lowe's are usually very low quality.
Yes.
So what type of file is that you're using right now?
That is an official made in USA Nicholson.
And what are you doing to the piece with that file?
Cleaning off the very end I don't make it absolutely straight across here, but definitely clean and shiny. I think it's a leftover from the way I make knives, that I tend to like to get the profile, this shape, done before I start working on surfaces. I'm not sure you have to do it that way, but that's just the pattern, the way I do it. Took shop class, there was an instructor who told you that files cut on the push stroke, lift it up, bring it back, push stroke, lift it up, bring it back, so on. I have found, not so much with big files like this, but with the smaller ones, when I'm trying to do decorative file work, I find that there are times where I have managed to get that corner in the groove just right, and by golly, I am going to go in there and I'm just going to saw back and forth, because that's going to keep everything right where I want it. And the shop teacher had to worry about his budget and the price of files. I have to worry about the price of files too, I guess, but in this case I'm paying for the file, so if I want to pull it backwards, I'll pull it back. once you're done forging and your work is cold, one of the really neat things you can do is to actually feel things while you're working on them. You'll find sharp edges and little burrs and things that you will realize you needed to take care of. It's a real good way to shape a handle while you're working on it. You know, grind your file on it a little bit and then hold it, and ooh, you know, it kind of rubs right there. Might want to take that spot down a little. That's where I was saying I want to clean up the inside of that curve, and it's a lot easier to do it now while it's open. And now, should have stopped to talk there. I've done the profile. I've been all the way around, and it's all clean and shiny. I have to start on this part to clean up all the flat surfaces. That, especially this part right out here, gets tedious, and it can go a lot faster on a grinder. And if I were making a bunch of these at home, I would probably just go over on the grinder. A couple reasons why I don't do that. One, it is kind of fun to sit and file, especially when you're only doing one. The other is that I don't want this to sound ugly, but I get tired of talking to people who want to do this or that. They want to make knives, but I don't have a grinder. I built my first 25 knives before I broke down and built a grinder. You know, if people built absolutely magnificent metal things, I mean, think about swords, for centuries and generations without grinders. If I really, really want to make a knife, a spatula, whatever, as bad as I say I want to, I'll use the tools I can afford to get the job done. When I got started, that meant files. So I really want to make the point that this can be done without the shop full of equipment that takes 20, 30, 40 years to accumulate. Get started. This is great. I love it. But if somebody's watching, or some of y'all are as fascinated by this kind of stuff as I am, and you're letting, I don't have $20,000 worth of equipment hold you back, go out and buy the tools you can and get started, and you can accumulate all that other stuff. In the meantime, you're going to be a whole lot better craftsman for having gotten started and gotten all this practice early. does get a little bit hot when you do that. On this part of the handle, I give it just a little bit of a crown this way. There's a couple reasons for that. One, it just feels good in your hand. The other thing is, if I start my crown by filing these edges to a little bit of an angle, it's a lot easier to get the flat of the file into the flat in the middle of the middle of the handle. See, here I'm taking down out here near the edge. Here I'm taking down near this edge. Now I've got the file flat, and it's a lot easier to take off what's left in the middle. One of the neat things about doing this as a hobby and just working for yourself is that you get to decide how clean the surface needs to be. I have decided that that's about as clean as that needs to be for today. Partly because I just want to get on with demonstrating the next step. When we've cleaned up all these surfaces, made them shiny, but we've got the marks from the file going every which direction. It looks better if you get all those marks lined up the right way. Here's how I do that. File on here, like so. Go this way. And it pops loose.
may be a new question, but could you not put in oddly shaped pieces, could you put the file in the vise and rake the piece across the file? Did I just break your brain? Like just the handle so it hangs over.
Yeah. Oh. I can't really get the pressure
Okay.
on it. What I didn't think to bring with me is that I have a whole collection of little blocks of wood and clamps and so forth that I can always sit back and look at the collection and go, okay, let's see. Put that thing in there, now clamp this in, now work on this part. Okay, now turn it around and work on this part.
You got filing hardy tools?
Yeah. Okay. I'll just talk about it a little more. Oh, I did bring my pieces. After draw filing, or in this case, even before draw filing, oops, I'm getting ahead of myself. One more thing I wanted to do to the handle. I like to break all the sharp edges. Nobody wants to get cut by the handle of their kitchen stuff. Break all those edges. And out here on the front side, more than just breaking the edge and taking off the burr, I like to file a little bevel on there. That catches the light, and the eye likes little facets like that reflect the light a little differently. I guess I could move it instead of twisting myself into funny positions. Now, where I was going next. At this point, your idea of done is up to you. You can keep sanding for about as long as you'd like to and get it more and more polished, and at some point you will get tired and decide that you are done. At least that's how it always works for me. Let's see. This one, the piece I brought, the spatula I brought with me today, was sanded with, that's 80 grit, and then rubbed down with a Scotch-Brite pad. This fork was, I went to at least 150 grit maybe 220 on this one. I can't remember, but that's different ranges of finishing, and knife makers go crazy and keep on going to 2,000. And at some point I managed to decide that with a knife, I kind of like 220 grit finish, and I got tired and decided that was where I liked it, and that would be good enough for me. I was really, well, I wasn't surprised, but this does not seem like a really fine finish to me in knife making terms, but at the lock class I took with Josh and Ernie, this was about the as finished as we got, and then we went ahead and glued them, and it was beautiful.
Do you coat them with anything?
I do. I use I've used spray lacquer, not on kitchen tools, but on blacksmithing stuff I use a lot of clear spray lacquer. I just use vegetable oil or butcher block oil on kitchen stuff. I used to use Renaissance wax, and then I decided that car wax or Minwax paste finishing wax was pretty good too. I know Ashton at one time got Lowe's. Does Lowe's still have the dark wax? Got the.
It was a stock item last time I walked down that aisle. So
Okay.
we're convinced them we were buying enough of it, and we still have the stock.
What'd you call it?
It's Minwax Special Dark Paste Wax,
Just like this.
and yeah, there it is. Right there, and that's not. I just use the normal wax on a polished piece like this. The dark wax looks really good on our as forged pieces. You know, if you forge something and just wire brush it, and you've got that blue black finish left, that special dark comes out really good on that. This is, you see the SCO on the back of that pad. This is Scotch-Brite. We know Scotch-Brite, most of us probably from scouring out kitchen sinks. That's usually the green pad that you use in the kitchen. This is the maroon pad. There is a whole spectrum of Scotch-Brite colors, and there must be a chart somewhere that explains which one is coarser and finer. I just know that around my house the green pads are for the kitchen sink, and the maroon pads are for my metalwork.
Oh, okay.
I think John Wayne last month talked about I think he uses a Scotch-Brite wheel on his grinder to get the polish on some of his pieces. heard this. I've heard people describe the look that you get from the maroon Scotch Brite as pewter-like, and I'm not quite sure. It looks like pewter to me, but it does look nice. I have a padlock I made where I decided not to blue it and just leave the finish like this, and everybody who's seen it sitting there in the cabinet at home thinks it's looks pretty good.
Get them in little discs that are going angle grinder.
Yeah.
I learned that from a machine shop that do that on the cylinder heads.
Oh, okay. You're just about there. Okay. So. Last thing I need to do is bend that hook around. And the really neat thing about having it so thin is that I don't have to start up the forge again. I can just work it around there cold. I like to put the tip just on the front side of the handle. I kind of have to pay attention to make sure it lines up there. Persuasion device. There. And that's where we wind up. Pass that around. That's it. Thank you.
We'll make some brownies.
That's right. Actually, we are on the second week of this menu plan that my wife and I got started on, and brownies and cookies are forbidden for another week yet.
I'm sorely disappointed you didn't use the forge to cook brownies during the demonstration. That would have put you above the garlic quench.
I will consider that for next year's presentation.
Well, YouTube, that's all we have. Like, comment, subscribe, the whole 9 yards. You know what to do. And thanks for viewing. Wave goodbye, Steve.
Bye.